So if you're ready to increase your net worth and you need a tool to start tracking your cash flow and creating a budget, I've got exactly what you need. Thousands of people have downloaded this simple one-page template that I have. It's got all the features and functionality that you're going to need. I'm managing over $17,000 a month in expenses on this, and it has been with me for the past 11 years, and I've slowly tweaked and refined it to simplistic perfection, as I like to say. But before I get into the actual sheet and the walkthrough, I want to make sure that I really encourage you to do this, because so many people will start budgeting, but they have negative emotions that are associated with it. Probably the most common one is that, oh no, budgeting means the end of fun. They've got that from certain big time gurus and things like that. I just want to say that does not have to be the case. I actually tell people all the time that when me and my wife were trying to get out of $265,000 in debt, we still had lots of fun. We just had to focus what it was specifically along the way. And it's really important to have fun if you're really focused on getting out of debt specifically on your journey right now, because if you don't, if you just try to be completely miserable and gazelle mentality and all these other things, you're just going to quit. You're not going to finish it. Very few people actually finish any kind of journey that makes them miserable. Now, does that mean that it won't be kind of hard and that you don't need to cut back and that sacrifices won't need to be made? Of course not. That's obviously going to be part of it. But it doesn't mean that you can't ever do a nice dinner or go on a weekend vacation to the beach or whatever the case is. You just need to plan for it. That's all that it is. So I just really want to throw that out there, and just realize that if you're somebody right now, no matter how much, maybe you've paid off all your debt, okay? And you're like, I don't really need a budget, I'm doing fine. Yeah, you absolutely do, because what gets measured gets improved. So if you're trying to lose weight, but you don't count calories, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're trying to make gains in the gym, but you don't track, your progress and lifts and all these other things, it's going to slow your progress. If you want to run a business, but you're not really paying attention to your operating expenses and income and all these other things, you're going to lose money and your margins aren't going to be as good as they could be. So it doesn't matter whether or not you've got $5 million and tons of cash flow, or if you're $200,000 in debt. No matter what, you have to be measuring all of your cash flow, what your expenses are, because if you don't, you will end up being inefficient with your money. You will not get where you want to go as quickly. The end, that's it. So don't pretend like you're serious about living the life you want if you're not tracking your cash flow. It's one of the most important aspects to it. And when it comes to increasing your net worth and freeing up your time, energy, and money, this is one of the most pivotal things you could do. So with that, let's jump into it, and I'm going to show you exactly how I use this. All right, so welcome to the greatest budget sheet ever created. There are thousands of people that use this. I have used this when my expenses were as high as $18,000 a month. So don't let, and I've used this for the past 11 years, all through my journey from pretty much zero to over $1 million net worth. Other people have super crazy multi-page, tracking all these different things and fancy widgets and gadgets. And look, we just need simple. I'm a fan of simplicity in our life because it saves time. Some of these other spreadsheets, yes, they're a lot more complex and they can do other cool things. But what I've found is that they also become a distraction. They become a waste of time at some point. And for 97% of people out there, this is going to be just fine. This is going to be all that you will need. You can pop in here. And I talk a lot about my Epic monthly review. And a big part of my Epic monthly review is the fact that it only takes 30 minutes a month. I work with so many people in my programs and we use this budget template. And so many times people are like, man, just spend hours on this, like every week even, and, constantly going over the numbers. And I just don't want you doing that. You're better off living your life, getting out there, making more money, making things happen than spending time on a spreadsheet. So simplicity is what we are going for. This is not the most advanced spreadsheet ever created, right? It's just the greatest one that was ever created. So let's get into that. Now, right off the bat, I want you to notice there's 3 tabs down here. So right here, we have the state of things. Then we have a test sheet. And if you notice, The only difference about the test sheet compared to the state of things is the fact that it says test sheet. This is an exact duplicate of that. But I want to highlight that because I actually just made this for myself, and I didn't want to have to worry about making changes in here and accidentally saving it or auto saving or, me messing something up and forgetting to change it back or whatever the case is. So this is my actuals. This is what things were, what I projected for the upcoming month, all that. And then so many people gave me feedback on the fact that they love the fact there's a test sheet here. It's a small thing, but it's great because it gives you permission to come in here and just mess around with stuff. And I love doing that because it's like, okay, so like what if I come in and, we were looking to, get a new house, for instance, and, we got that coming in and, oh yeah, I'm looking to, scale back and, only work, 1 day less a week, spend some more time with the kids. So maybe we'll make less money. But in order to do that, we do want to jack up our savings account a little bit here, yada, yada. You can just come in and mess with it and do whatever you want and just see what the numbers look like. It's just a sheet to give you permission and encourage you to do that. So just remember, that's what this test sheet is here for. Now, this next one is the list, as I call it. And I run through this in all of my programs. You can see this in Foundation, the Design Mastermind. But what this is this is what, in my opinion, is the greatest list you will ever have to make. So the reason this is so important is we need to get a really good picture of what our overall situation is. So what I tell people to come in here and do is just list out all of your liabilities, list out your annual ones too. So this is the monthly, this is the annual, and then also list out your assets. We want to get a clear picture of what our net worth kind of looks like, because when we have that, we can really start to make some really intelligent moves at that point. So that's what the list is right here. But for the sake of this, we're going to focus on the template. So again, what makes this the greatest spreadsheet ever created? Well, one thing is the fact that everything is kind of auto-calculated for you. You just come in here and fill out this blue section. Don't worry about anything over here. Don't worry about this or these graphs. They will all auto-calculate, right? So we just want to come in and go, okay, yeah, mortgage and rent, whatever it is. Maybe you have, a second apartment condo down by the beach, something like that. You can come in here and vacation home, and maybe it's a timeshare or whatever the case is. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. So you come in and go, okay, I got another $800 there a month that we're paying for this little condo close to the beach or something. Probably a lot more than $800 a month, but hey, whatever. So you can come in, hey, I don't have kids. Okay, that's fine. Get rid of childcare. That's not an expenditure. Or my kids are older and they're out of the house. Okay, take it out. Just customize these, items to whatever works for you. I have things in here that are common, like haircuts. People tend to leave those out, but most of us like to groom ourselves to a certain degree. Luxuries every month. So these are things that make life entertaining, fun for us, that we want to do. So you can come in here and do this. Now, one thing that I do want to note is that one thing that you should do is go through your phone. And if you have an iPhone, I know you can do this. I think you can do this on Android too. But if you go into general and then you can find this place that says subscriptions. And if you're not sure how to do this, you can Google it for your phone. But it's really important to check what apps you're paying for, because the average person is paying $27 a month. So that's, a couple $100 a year on apps that they never use anymore. I did this the other day and I found out one that was a $12 app that I think I used it once and I've never used it again. And I'd been paying for it every month. That's $144 a year I was throwing away. So went and deleted that right there. So it's just always good to kind of come in, track, make sure you know exactly what you're spending in these areas, and then, get rid of anything that you don't want. Travel annual. So pay attention up here on these categories. Some of them are listed as monthly. Some of them are broken out annually. These three specifically right here. The reason that I have that is because travel, trip, it's kind of a one-time thing, right? So let's say you're going to the Grand Canyon, it's going to cost you $3,500. Well, what these annual categories do, put the entire amount in, and it's going to break it down by 12. So on a monthly basis, and then it will put it into here. So you see travel, $733 a month. So if we look at what we have here with all of this, if I come in and, hey, you know what, my sister's wedding, it's actually going to be a little more expensive than I thought because the plane tickets went up, so I'm putting $2,500. Okay, so I updated this. It's $9,300. Now this has updated. All of this has updated, and now it's $775 a month. So if you are trying to budget, you've got all these trips planned for the year, it's the beginning of the year, and you want to start setting money aside for your travels, no, you need $775 a month to fund all of these things. So this is like what I talked about in the beginning. This doesn't mean because you have a budget that you can't have fun anymore. I absolutely want you to have fun. I just want you to have more fun than you would if you didn't have a budget, because there are so many people that have what they call trip regret. And what happens is they go on these trips and they spend a bunch of money, and then they come home and they regret it and they feel guilty, and they look at their credit card statement and they go, oh my gosh, how did I spend that much money? And then it ruins the experience to some degree. And I don't want that. Life's too short. Go have fun, enjoy your trip, plan for how much you're going to spend, eat, drink, whatever. And then when you come back, hopefully you're within that range and you can go, okay, cool. Yeah, stayed on budget. Life's good. And then you just have a great memory. So that's what we want from this. So again, all of this will be broken down in 12 months. If that's not how you plan for it, it's fine. But just know that is being calculated in this monthly expenses, okay? Same thing with the gifts. This is something to think about. A lot of people do like sinking funds for Christmas or birthdays or whatever the case may be. That's great. This is just going to break down for you exactly how much. So, hey, we got to, just had a new nephew that was born into the family recently. So we're excited about that. Family's getting bigger. Need to up the Christmas budget this year. Get some cool stuff for them. So we took that to $1,500. You can see that that total right here, $2,900, and then that came down here into gifts. So $242. Again, you can see if I change this, we'll go to $1,700. It'll auto calculate here to $31, and then that will change the gifts a little bit to $258. So if I want to have a sinking fund for gifts, different things like that, I know exactly how much I need to be putting into that every single month, and I just put that one-time annual cost, whatever it is in there, and it's automatically there. Same thing with insurance. Most insurance is either biannual or annual. So what you want to do is just come in here and whatever the new rate is for your car insurance, whatever it is you're doing, it's all going up. Come in here, auto calculates, breaks it down into a nice monthly breakdown for you. That way, I actually just had mine the other day. I got the letter saying, oh, hey, here's your 6-month car month bill. And it's like, oh, well, there's $2,000 I totally forgot about. But I'm not stressed about it because I have all of mine goes into one account. I don't have it broken up by individual accounts. But basically what I do is I take all of these things that I know are happening on a monthly basis. I add up whatever the total is, and that's just what goes into this particular savings fund for all of these things. So then when that hits, boom, yeah, I might have been surprised. I forgot. I don't pay attention to every 6 months when my car insurance bill is coming in. But I'm not worried because it's just a simple transfer from one account to my checking. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's paid for. Done. So there are no large surprises. We are able to keep track of it all, like I said here. So making sure that we're tracking all the annual stuff there. Now, coming to the debt side of things, one thing that I really recommend, because you can do this on the list right here, write out your credit cards and, once your monthly payment, you get a little more detailed here. But the one thing that I would recommend doing here is get specific with it. So if this is a Capital One card, type in Capital One. I like putting in percentages what the interest rate is just so I can see it. Just makes it nice and easy. So that's what I have here in the percentages. It's a 25% interest. Then I just have what my monthly payment is right here. If I want further details, I can come into the list, see what the final payoffs and all that are. But from a monthly perspective, I don't need to see that. That's not necessarily important. I know I should have a plan for what debt I'm paying off aggressively, and then you kind of take things from there. Hopefully, you get to the point where you're not carrying a balance at all in these situations and it doesn't matter. But this is just something to keep track of. And then again, we will add up the cost of this. And then let's say, for instance, you are in a situation and you're like, okay, I am paying off my credit cards actively. We're trying to get out of debt. Then come in here and I would make a little thing for extra payments. So, okay, great. I'm throwing an extra $500 a month in extra payments at my credit. Okay, great. It's going to change our outgoing here, blah, blah, blah. That's a great way to kind of keep track of what we're doing with our debt. Now, this confuses some people sometimes, but I have this for a reason. So just follow me on this, okay? Savings and investments. Watch this. If I change my savings account, look at my outgoing, 11,906. If I change this to 700, and that changes this to 1,000. Ooh, my outgoing ticked up. Well, that's interesting, Stephen. Was that an accident? Why do you have savings and investments on your outgoing? Because as far as I'm concerned, and if you look at a lot of the other, personal finance people, there is a principle that everybody kind of agrees on, and that is pay yourself first. Treat putting money into your account and increasing your net worth and your cash savings and your war chest, treat it like it's the electric bill, okay? This is a non-optional thing. I don't care if it's $50 a month. It's about the discipline and the behavior of paying yourself first. So the reason I have this marked as an expense, even though technically it's just going to a different account, is because psychologically, I want you to see that money is gone. I want you to see that money as spent. Yep, that $100, $500, $10,000 a month, I don't care what it is, there just has to be something, and then we will increase it over time. So in this category, even though it's savings and investments, even though you still technically have access to it, that is cash flow. It is leaving our checking account and it is going to a different account. That is why it is in outgoing, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So you'll see that here. Hey, Steven, I can't do $700 a month. Okay, that's fine. Do 200. Okay, $200 a month, 500. It adjusts here, 500. Changes the outgoing. Hopefully you see how that works. This is an incredibly important principle. I can't stress enough, and that is why I mark this as a bill, because it is truly about outgoing cash flow. That's really what we're looking at here. We're not looking so much about, just our bills. We are looking at cash flow. What's coming in, what's going out. So that's how I want you to think about this. All right. Income. Pretty straightforward. I have a salary, wife has a salary. Maybe I've got a side hustle I'm doing $300 a month on. I just, pressure wash some stuff in the neighborhood on the weekends. Oh, I have dividends because I invest in some stocks. They pay out about $200 a month, whatever the case is. And you know what? I do a little affiliate marketing on the side. That brings in a little bit of cheese. We love that. It's not a ton, but it's $80. I don't really do anything for that. Bam. So now you can see the income is ticking up. This is cash flow that is coming in. So you want to make sure that you have all sources here. Maybe you have a rental property. Hey, we actually didn't sell our other house when we moved to this one, and that rental property, the difference, don't include the full, if they're paying $2,000 a month, obviously don't include that because that's not your income level necessarily. You're still using, let's say it's $1,900 to pay off the taxes and everything with it. But let's say $100 is what's left over. If you want to put that $100 right there as income, great. You can go ahead and include that as well. All right. This is not meant to be, I do want to clarify this because a lot of people get on to me. They're like, Steven, I have rental properties and yada, yada. That's great. Running rental properties is a business. This is not your budget sheet for your business. Now, that being said, I do include a category in here sometimes, and I'll tell people like, okay, if you have a side hustle or another business and you just want to add a line item in, somewhere in here around debt monthly, whatever the case is, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you come in and you go, okay, we're going to do business expenses. And I've got a bunch of software I pay for mine. It's $1,000 a month. Okay. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. But just make it one line item. This is about our personal statement. This is our personal cash flow. If you have a business, you need to have a totally separate sheet for that. That is its own thing. Do not mix these two, okay? So again, same thing with the rental properties. If you have one rental property, if you have 50 doors, that you're managing, Airbnbs, whatever the case is, that needs to be something completely separate. Do not include all the numbers in this. We want simplicity and we want boundaries in our money. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they try to mesh it all together. I knew somebody had some family members actually, they had their own business and they operated the business and their household finances like it was the same thing. And they would literally take money from the business and then figure out ways to get like a new pool in or this car or whatever the case was. And that caused them to kind of mesh some numbers around and they got audited, got in big trouble. You can't do that. We have to make sure that these things are siloed from each other and that we are treating them like they're completely different entities, because they are. Okay, so that's really important. I want to make sure that we have that in there. So I get a lot of flack for that sometimes on this sheet because people want this to be the sheet that fixes everything. And I'm telling you right now, that is not what this is meant to be. This is household cash flow only. So don't mix those. Don't mix those. No. All right. So that is how this works. That is it. Like I said, you don't have to do anything down here. These totals should match all of these cells right here. If they don't for some reason, something's wrong, unless you see yearly total, okay? Or annual total. I don't know why I switched that, but you get the picture. In case somebody doesn't know what annual means, it means yearly. So then these numbers, gifts, 3,100, gifts, 258, they will break down into, monthly, AKA divisible by 12. So that's what we're doing here. So this is it. So we're coming in and we're going, okay, so now this is set. I have done everything here. Well, now we're just going to come here, make one big copy. Don't do these. Don't do the dark blue because those will auto-calculate. Come in, highlight all over again, exact cells. We're going to copy it. Boom. Now we have an exact replica from over here to over here. Our outgoings, everything's the same. So now I want to come in the test sheet and I want to mess around and I want to go, okay, well, we're looking to get that new house. It's going to be $4,300 and then that's going to take some of the taxes up a little bit, every month. And then, you know what? I'm not watching Netflix anymore, trying to cut back on TV. So we're going to take Netflix out. I don't play this game anymore, so I'm going to take that out, cut a little expenses. We're going to do Christmas big this year. We're going to take some of that money, put it back in here. And we actually want to downgrade on the car. We bought a car, we overspent, so we're selling that one, getting a new one. It's going to be $500 a month, going to get some savings there. And then, actually was able to find some cheaper software for the business. So overall, that came down to $800. There you go. So now these are just ways that we can continue to look at things and go, and the reason I'm looking to get a new house is because, we're getting a raise up here, blah, blah, blah. So you get to kind of judge the situation and see what's happening from a monthly standpoint, and understand what's the delta, what's the gap between my income and my outgoing cash flow. What does the relative split of my categories look like and different things like that. Come in here, dream a little bit, try to figure out how you can make the numbers work for yourself. And then you get to do some exciting stuff and you get to look at this and say, wow, you know what? I'm bringing in, roughly $4,000 more than what we've got. What are we going to do with that extra $4,000? Where can we invest that? How can we use that to make more money? How can we use that to bless other people? whatever the case may be. This is the way that you're going to want to go about that. So, and then like I said, as your assets continue to grow and your liabilities continue to shrink, hopefully, make sure that you update this so it's a really easy way for you to be able to come in and kind of judge your net worth. So that is the greatest budget sheet ever created. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that this serves you. Please share it with somebody who you know might need this as well. One common thing that I do get asked that people wonder is, do I use, any kind of software in order to figure these numbers out? And the answer is yes. I currently use Monarch. And one of the reasons that I do that is because, again, I'm about efficiency, time, different things like that. I can log into all of my accounts, but for a couple bucks a month, it's totally worth it to have one place I can go. I can log into all of my accounts. Everything is in there. I can get, I don't have to log into each individual investment account and see what everything's doing, and does a really good job sorting my actuals. The software I use to see what my actuals are. The spreadsheet is for me to make projections. This is one of the things I actually think that people make the biggest mistake with their budget spreadsheets is they want to just use this as like, this is the rule. I must adhere to these numbers or I have to punish myself. And it's like, no, that's not what this is. What this is this is just a way for us to go and say, okay, I think that this upcoming month, I am going to end up spending, let's say, I think I've got a $700 roughly difference in my monthly expenses. So I want to see if this month that's what ends up happening. Well, let's say that I go and I check in online, and then it turns out I didn't. I actually spent $12,500. I'm going to go, okay, well, why was I off by $500? That's not nothing. That's not $10, $20. It was $500. Why was I off? Oh, you know what? We ended up having that surprise event. That was a one-time thing. Okay, well, it shouldn't happen next month. Well, then, you get to the next month and maybe you overspent $500 again. And then you look at it and go, okay, that's 2 months in a row that I projected we were going to spend $12,000, but we had multiple different events in each one. And even though they were one-time things, I'm starting to see a pattern here. And then you get to the third month and you see that you overspent by $400. And then you look at it and you go, okay, that's 3 months in a row. I projected that we were going to spend $12,000, but we spent right around $12,500, give or take. So even though they're not things that I'm normally planning for, these are surprise expenses. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put under, you could put it under debt if you want. You could put it under living expenses, however you want to do this. But I'm going to come in and I'm just going to make a little miscellaneous fund. Hey, stuff keeps popping up. And I'm going to call it $450 a month. And these are just things that seem to consistently be coming up that I'm just not planning for. Okay, so now we've made that adjustment here. I know I have about a $300 gap. So let's see how that is. And then that's the entire point. That's how you use this. It's about learning and adapting to the lifestyle that you're living, the behaviors you have. And we want an honest look at it, because if we don't have an honest look at this, we can't make smart decisions. And that's ultimately what this is all about. If you really like this spreadsheet, but you're thinking, I really need more, I need an actual financial system, then go to the description below, and in there I have a link for my course Foundation. And what you can do, it actually includes this spreadsheet with it in a walkthrough, but there are 7 steps that you can follow that will help you knock out debt really quickly, negotiate your debt down before you ever start paying it off. I have had people who literally all we did was negotiate debt down, and we saved them tens of thousands of dollars a year just in interest and total amounts owed. Okay, so it's really important you negotiate it, and then it will walk you through the rest of the process on how to automate your financial system. So ultimately, you only need to be spending 30 minutes or less a month on managing your money, and you can get back and use those time savings to living your life and building more wealth. So click on the link in the description or go to my website, courseandsolutions.com, and you can check it out there.